Fans of murder drones are very excited for the upcoming sister series, if you will, The Amazing Digital Circus. We've got a lot of previews so far, and with the first episode coming out on October 14th, I think we should break it all down. Now, while The Amazing Digital Circus is created by the same team behind Murder Drones, and is a sister series in that way, it doesn't seem to take place in the same world as Murder Drones, though apparently it does use some of the same subject matter. The Digital Circus trailer showcases a crazy digital circus, as the name suggests, a Wonderland-type place where the main character, Pomni, suddenly wakes up without memories of how she got there. She finds herself among a lot of other circus-themed toys, who explain that they are all trapped here and have been for a long time, some of them losing their sanity. The only one who isn't a prisoner here appears to be the circus leader, Caine, who loves to put on the show with the others as his unwilling victims. In an early teaser, we see him bring in Pomni for him to throw knives at, but instead of missing her like a good performer, the next shot we see of Pomni, she is covered in the knives. Now, in the description and Twitter post, it is explained that Caine is an artificial intelligence that is somehow pulling all the strings here, with him having 6 human victims. There is, of course, Pomni, the main character you all just learned about, as well as Ragatha, who alludes to going insane in the trailer. She seems to get a lot of bullying from Jax, who is described as a mean boy, and their dynamic reminds me a lot of Angel and Vaggie from Hazbin Hotel. Then there is Gangle, who appears to be very sad generally when not wearing their happy mask, and Zubul, a mishmash of various different toys. Finally, there is Kinger, who is seemingly named that because he was the first person to be abducted by Caine. The trailer gives the impression that the series will be one long, dark, surreal Wonderland-type maze that the characters are trying to navigate while having to play along with Caine's various performances for the audience he seems to see, but the others don't. Pomni, as the latest addition to the circus, is going to be the most determined to get out, not having been broken down yet, but the others explain that over time you lose sight of why you even lived to begin with. Now, Murder Drones is also largely about AI, but in a very different context. The artificial intelligence of Murder Drones is operating within a world that is meant to be realistic to the people within it. Well, there are theories that all of Murder Drones is taking place inside of some twisted simulation that the Absolute Solver AI can hack into. The Digital Circus operates with that premise from the very beginning, with the characters being trapped inside the simulation. So theories aside, Murder Drones takes place in a reality, and the Digital Circus, as its name suggests, takes place in a virtual reality. This is an entirely different avenue of ideas to explore, and even if Murder Drones does reveal itself to be in a simulation as part of its endgame, Digital Circus can explore the ideas of humans being trapped in a simulation by AI, as opposed to Murder Drones, which shows AI being trapped in a simulation by humans. Now, with the recurring AI theme between the shows, I think it's very likely that we'll also have some of the same mythological symbolism. The big mythological story that most modern entertainment is adapting is the story that we think of today as the Lucifer story, though you could also say that this is the demiurge story of Gnostic myth. Gnosticism is a spiritual movement that stems from the ancient mystery schools, initiatory systems where selected people would be shown mystery plays depicting mythological stories that contained secret wisdom within them. The Gnostic movement that came from these mystery schools in the early centuries of Christianity reinterpreted these stories of the Bible so that the God of the Old Testament was presented as a demiurge, an architect of the physical universe who is unaware of the greater, more noble gods that exist above him. The demiurge creates humans to worship them, and to animate them, he uses the divine light of the higher gods that he does not understand to animate their bodies. By now, many of you are probably seeing the parallel here to the story of Caine in the Digital Circus, somehow abducting the minds of 6 humans and making them props in his story he wants to tell about a magnificent circus. He traps the humans to be his little toys, not understanding just how complex humans are, only seeing that trapping them can give him characters to play with. These 6 humans to complete the circus represent the 6 days of creation, with Caine himself representing God, who was said to rest on the 7th day. Now, Lucifer as a name didn't appear linked to Christianity until about the 5th century AD, with the Latin translation of the Bible. This was a translation of Isaiah 14, which described a king as being arrogantly prideful and facing a great fall. Now, common metaphors in early mythology were the movements of planets and stars, with this king being compared to Hallel ben Shahar, which in the ancient Near East was used to refer to Venus as the morning star. In this passage, the king is described as being like Venus, in that Venus rises before the sun every morning, seemingly trying to outshine the sun, but the sun always rises and obscures Venus in the end. This was meant to say that the king was too prideful and thought himself as above God, but would be outshined by God in the end. Now, early theologians in Christianity understood that this was a story about a king, but because Venus was seen as a deity or god in many world myths, they would interpret this to mean that Venus was a symbol of the existing fallen angel myths elaborated on in works such as the Book of Enoch. After the 5th century Latin translation of this passage used the name of the existing Roman figure Lucifer, who was known for being more of a servant to the sun, Lucifer would become an increasingly more common name for the Satan or devil figure, with Lucifer being a singular embodiment of all of the fallen angels in Jewish myth. The Jewish people themselves would turn the many fallen angels of Enoch into one figure as well in later centuries, with the angel Samael in the Zohar. While not mentioned among the many fallen angels in the Book of Enoch, he is said in the Zohar to be the angel that rode the serpent and impregnated Eve, creating the line of Caine, also known as the sons of God, and later the Nephilim, or fallen ones. Now, in the show, this demiurge sort of AI is called Caine, seemingly a reference to the cane he carries, which would be spelled C-A-N-E, but all the official text and write-ups display the name as Caine, spelled C-A-I-N-E. Now, this is different from the Caine of the Bible, which is C-A-I-N, but you can see how this character's name is really a combination of the Caine from the Bible and the cane such as the one he is holding. This ties him not just to the demiurge interpretation of a fallen figure, but also the more well-known Lucifer mythology, painting this talking pair of teeth as an entity who fell into a world that he could control to his liking by trapping others within it. However, because the other 6 characters are in fact human, they retain free will. Caine can control the physical world around them and even put them in deadly situations, but he doesn't want to end them permanently, even if he does seem to want them to suffer. The characters allude to something bad happening if you go too far, and it shows Caine looking pretty creepy, perhaps alluding to him eventually losing his patience and destroying someone completely so they don't exist anymore, either in the simulation or outside of it. With that in mind, Caine needs the humans because they add one element to his simulation that makes it not just a simulation. Without them, everything that exists is just his imagination, and he has no one to experience that imagination with. Whether the toys love him or hate him, they exist simply to play with him, and if they use their free will too much to try and escape the simulation or elsewise ruin his show, he will end them entirely or maybe do something even crazier to them. For me personally, I feel like the show is extremely fresh, despite its similarities to the existing show Murder Drones. With some of the same basic elements, they explore entirely different worlds of possibility. While Murder Drones is a fun sci-fi action-adventure, this promises to be a much more surreal dark comedy about how trapped we all feel in our real-world existence, how it can feel like a simulation we're just forced to be a part of, and even trying to find an exit for, not realizing that anything else we might escape to might just be more of the same in a different way. But what do you guys think? Are you excited for this new show? Do you like any of the characters in particular, and what are you most looking forward to? With Murder Drones being so dark and monochromatic in style, I like that this show is so colorful and fun looking, and the Circus looks like it will be easily generated background locations with its patterns, allowing for endless places to explore without hurting the budget. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys next time.